Battlefield 6 Beta Weekend 2 is here, and that brings with it some new complaints that haven't been seen before, and I don't completely know why. For anyone that is currently playing the Battlefield 6 Beta, essentially the second weekend went live, and now they have released a new map in the form of Empire State, which was announced ahead of time to be an infantry-only close-quarter map without any vehicles. Of course, the people that definitely spend time online in the form of the Battlefield subreddit apparently weren't aware of this fact and are now incredibly mad that there is no large Battlefield 6 map, at least in the beta. Now, I wouldn't exactly be worried for there to not be any large maps. After all, we know that Operation Firestorm is releasing, which is a remake of a large map, so I'm very much expecting there to be large maps. They have also admitted that these current maps are only small and somewhat medium-sized maps in the form of Cairo and Liberation Peak being the medium ones. At the same time, I understand why people are worried, because the reality is the latest Battlefield game, Battlefield 2042, did have some issues with map size. Not specifically because they were too small, but because they were fairly large, because they were designed for 128 players, which of course drastically changes the way that a map should flow. And then after they decided that 128 players were too many, and that PCs had difficulty running the game, and that on console it also didn't feel that good, they decided to scale down to 64 players, but obviously the maps that were left, the maps that came out at launch, they were still made for 128 players, which massively screwed with the engagement times. So it does make a lot of sense to try out one of the new large maps, and for them to then be able to determine if the new engagement times that they very much are chasing to be rather low are at the spot that they desire. Having said that, I do think the subreddit is being a little bit dramatic right now. They are pretending as though all of a sudden Battlefield 6 is the worst game the world has ever seen. And I can tell you, it is still really good. The only thing is, you are going to have to be able to accept that a part of this game might not be exactly the way that you want the game to be. This game is not only large-scale, big, long-range combat. This game has parts and has maps and has modes that are extremely close quarters and are constant chaos. Of course, kind of the slur, almost, that people have been throwing around is saying that it's made for the Call of Duty players, and I do think there is a little bit of Call of Duty bait in there, I suppose, but it's not made for Call of Duty players. It's just made to be a fun and engaging shooter game, or a part of a fun and engaging shooter game. It doesn't have to be very complicated. Yes, there's a guy that previously worked on a Call of Duty working on this game. It doesn't mean that his vision is the only one that they are going to be working on. It doesn't mean that every single experience is only close quarter combat. But you know what is close quarter combat? Rush. Rush in this game that actually came out this weekend as well is extremely close quarter combat. It is 24 players, 12 versus 12, which did also have some people concerned because 24 players seemed like not a whole lot of people. But the way these maps are laid out, the way these maps are flowing, 3 squads of 4 do make a lot of sense to be attacking and defending. It does mean that these games end up being a little bit more sweaty, or at least it feels like it, because your part in the fight is a whole lot bigger. Not that it would make any difference, because even if it was 32 feet 32, we all know that you would be the only one that would be carrying smoke grenades and would be running into the MCOMs to go and plant the bomb, so there's not a whole lot of difference there between 12 or 32 players being on your team, because that would still be the same. But there is a different kind of chaos happening, because every single engagement for Rush mode is quite close quarters. Sometimes the current map design, especially on Rush, isn't that great. The defenders sometimes spawn way too close to the defense points. This is a problem inside of Breakthrough as well, but especially in Rush, it seems like the enemy is spawning not even half a street over from the defense points, which means that you might kill somebody, plant the bomb, and you will see that same enemy 2 or 3 times in the duration that it takes for the bomb to actually explode, which is just a little bit too frequent almost. And it's not like they have a spawn beacon, so they actually, made use of their tools. No, they're just spawning in their HQ and then being close enough to go and mount a reasonable defense again multiple multiple times. Little note here, apparently the respawn timer for rush mode was set to 6 seconds and has now been increased to 12. Ba-ba! But if you succeed in defending your planted bomb, it does feel really good. Usually you're pulling it off with like 1 or 2 squads then at most, and it does feel extremely good when you've then held off 3 squads of people, which all respawn 3 to 4 times, from properly attacking you, even though you would spawn pretty far away as an attacker. Not far enough to where it feels like you're gonna have to run forwards for 2 minutes, but in the grand scheme a whole lot further away than the defending team. It almost feels like Rush was very much designed to be the alternative to Breakthrough if you have a little bit less time and therefore want a little bit of a close quarterer experience than what Breakthrough would offer you. The question then really becomes, is this current Rush mode good enough the way it is? And I don't know. I would say the thing they would definitely have to do is move the defender spawn a little bit further backwards, because right now they are just simply too close and it doesn't allow for any tactical usage of the spawn beacons. As far as the player count goes, however, I think 12v12 is perfectly fine. While in the past 32v32 Rush did used to be a thing, it usually just became a lot of chaotic nonsense that kind of wasn't about Rush. It was just 64 players the same place at the same time, and that is not really any kind of objective mode. That is just the evolution of bashing your head into Operation Metro over and over, and you don't need Rush as a game mode for that. Short of them going out of their way to make unique Rush mode maps, or at the very least moving some assets around so that there is more of a defensive position right around the MCOMs, I see Rush mode kind of getting lost in the mix a little bit, especially with the announced but not yet available in the beta escalation mode being a thing as well, and in the end just very much feeling similar to Breakthrough. Rush is just kind of lost in the mix right now, which is kind of sad, honestly. It's very much not that there is no fun to be had there, but if I had a choice, I would probably currently play Conquest. And I do think Conquest currently is the strongest mode inside of Battlefield 6, and if you know how map flow works, then Conquest is the most fun. Modes like Breakthrough and Rush are very good though, if you are a newer player that doesn't quite understand map flow yet. Anyway, looking how time is ticking and the beta is slowly but surely going away until the 10th of October, I am going to be jumping back into the game to play some more. Maybe I'll find another topic to talk about and chatter about Battlefield 6 during this beta, in which case you should subscribe to this channel to stay tuned for more Battlefield 6 content. I'm fairly certain that I am going to be enjoying the game at launch, and I am still enjoying the game right now, so more Battlefield 6 will be played and will be recorded, I am sure. So guys, have a very wonderful rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.
Got a kill.
Yo, you don't want to know the movements I'm making with my arm to make this thing move.
Oh my god, you guys are going for it.
You got this, you got this. You made the kill. Locking in, locking in. Here comes another one. Boom, another one.
We're going for it. Go!
Oh no!
Man down, man down.
Oh wow! You fell right on me! What the fuck? Wait, did you both die? Oh.
Yeah. Yo, we landed perfectly.
You landed right on me! Wait, hop in, hop in.